KEMPER Profiler Tones and Talks. We are in the post NAMM show episode. Most of us got over NAMM tracks now as well. We want to talk a little bit about the state of guitar, and with us, of course, is Mr. Thomas Dill. Hi, Thomas. How are you?
I'm fine. I didn't went to the NAMM show, so I was here in the studio, so I don't have a cold or something like that, but I've worked hard for some different stuff.
Okay.
But I've checked out all the videos, and the news coming from the NAMM show was very interesting. And very interesting for me was, beside NAMM, I saw a rig rundown on Premier Guitar with Andrew Stockdale from Wolfmother. And I saw them here in Germany twice. Mm-hmm. It always had 2-3 Vox amps and everything loud, burning with SG. Yeah, and he's playing, I think it was an HX Stomp. No amps anymore. So very much people go from amps on stage to digital devices, profiler, different stuff. And I think this is more the tendency where the live guitar is going in a professional way. So because he always also said, yeah, I have to fly. And yeah, pay me the 3 Vox AC30 to get from Australia to the USA. This is much money, and to travel with this complete stuff. So they are going decising.
Yeah, that's definitely the thing, and that was also the feedback regarding the profiler player. And most interesting was I talked to a lot of people also who came with the question, okay, convince me to exchange my rig, my stage rig with a profiler, or basically a digital solution. And then these conversations took always a very an interesting spin, because you very quickly reach the point where the, how would you call it, the self-awareness of the guitar players shows that it's taking a completely different path, because you end up in discussions with, you know, guitar speaker, microphone, what are you hearing? Are you really hearing what you think you're hearing? The PA has something different, and you want to have your cabinet on stage because of the first rows, because you want to make sure that they have the same experience as you have, yada, 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 which is all, I mean, just, well, if you would screw everybody in place, including the heads and yourself as well, you would have a definite and defined listening situation. But that wouldn't work with a lot of people because of the dispersion and stuff like this. I think we don't have to get into this, but this is still very, very, very common sense that the knowledge and the awareness about what you're actually hearing in terms of from the guitar speaker and or from a digital device that goes full range to front of house is a completely different thing.
Yes, yes, of course. And if you talk to tone engineers, I talked to a tone engineer here in a club, in a really good club called Saal in Aschaffenburg. And
you mean sound engineers?
Yeah, sound engineers.
You are a tone engineer. You're creating tones.
Yeah, okay, sound engineer. Uh-huh. And he also said he has really problems with those old school guys coming with full stacks or Fender amps that blow everything away from the stage. So he needs to boost all the drum set, everything, to make it that loud in the room. And it's I think 300, 400 people can come in there. So it's too much sometimes, and some people don't take their advice from the sound engineer to lower the volume from stage, and they say, yeah, the people should be hear my amp sound, but they don't know, or they don't agree with that, that the amp sound is not really fine, and the in some 10 meters away when you are in the beam, and yeah, it's too much sometimes. So I can understand people, guitar players, because I'm a guitar player too, and I like to hear something from the amp. I like to act and react with the amp. It's very, very inspiring. And if you stand in front of a Marshall full stack or maybe a Fender amp cranked up, it's different. It's a different play feel. But you need to think about the global thing. How do you sound in the band? Is it too loud for the band? Some guitar, the most guitar players are definitely too loud on stage, and they disturb sometimes the band sound. So yeah, it's a discussion we maybe made, or the guitar players and the sound engineers and the musicians made 50 years ago, and it's still going on these days.
Yeah, that's true. And the thing is also, because of the dispersion of the guitar cabinets, not everywhere you're creating a nice tone. In some places you have too much treble, and in some places it's too boomy. And especially this argument, well, not, but you know, that's maybe something we can also talk about, this argument that this guy, he was from France, he wanted to make sure that the first rows get a nice tone, because this is the area where not necessarily the PA is doing its best job, which is true, which is absolutely true. But the conclusion drawn from that your stuff that's coming from the stage is the solution, is just something that we could discuss maybe. And I had once a discussion with Ian Bond. Mr. Ian Bond, indeed.
The brother of James.
The brother of James. Mr. Ian Bond is the 007 in terms of great PA sound the world over. He's the mixer, the sound engineer for Steven Wilson and people like this. And he's creating, I think, some of the best live mix tones, sounds that I ever heard. And, you know, Steven Wilson is very particular about sound as well. And he usually goes to clubs and places when he has to deal with, you know, the local PAs. He puts in a CD or MP3, whatever. And then he's going to the stage, to the rim of the stage, and then he's walking into the audience. And usually a couple of meters away from the stage, he's then taking a strip of gaffer, and he's making this marker on the floor, and then he starts to argue with the people who run that place, because saying, look, here is where the audio begins. From here to the stage, the audience will get nothing. They will not get any treble, whatever. So we either put some additional wedges turned around that the first rows get a decent tone, or you have to bend your banana, you know, if it's a fly system, much more, so that the first rows get something to hear. And that's actually the point where a lot of guitar players are not satisfied. It's sometimes sound engineers which are not so trained with the digital direct equipment have some problems as well, because the fact is that, you know, the first 3, 4 5 rows, then maybe in clubs, they suffer from, you know, not hearing proper PA. You know, you hear the drums from the stage, the bass and the guitars, like not in equality, but at least something.
Not really leveled, not really leveled.
Yeah, not really leveled and not really sounding well, because you hear the clunky acoustic drums and
yes.
whatever. So, and when the guitar players are playing profilers and they are, you know, blowing out, you know, 3 meters behind the audience, that's a pity. And this is indeed something that has to be addressed. But I know that you are doing this, for example, because you have that. Is it still the Blue Amps box you're using?
Yes, yes, but in a more quiet constellation, I had that problem. It's about 3-4 years ago, when we played a project with a singer, and we played some club gigs. Everybody had in-ear. I was playing the profiler, and just for safety reasons, I had a guitar cab with me. So sometimes for practice, when we didn't like to play with the in-ear, and sometimes just in case. I'm a really safety guy, so yeah, take something with you that you have some spare stuff. And the sound engineer told me in one club, hey, can you turn up the amp a bit? Just a little bit. I heard myself everything fine with the in-ear, but he told me, and the bass player, to turn up a little bit, to let the first 3 rows get a bit of sound, a bit of, yeah, balanced sound. And he told us, the guitar, the bass player and me, how loud we should turn up the amps. And then it was fine. So everybody could hear anything. So this is a problem when you're playing with line instruments, all line instruments, and you only have vocals and drums on stage. So sometimes it's good. What we had, I think, with an open air, they had these small speakers in front of the stage, so that the first rows could get some sound from the front of the stage, so they hear a balanced sound, because this is really a problem with some bands. I went to a concert and I stood beside the stage, and the complete band played in ears. Everybody had line instruments, only the drummer, and you only heard drums, not even vocals. So the sound from the band came far from the back of the club, and it was really bad sounding. We thought, I was with my wife, and we stood at the side of the stage and said, yeah, we have a good view to the stage. And then they started, and we totally went to the inside of the club, because it was horror.
No.
So yeah, this is the problem of, yeah, something to solve when you play in smaller clubs. But yeah, you can solve this with, you don't need a guitar cab in that, just having a little bit of sound coming from the stage. And also, while playing, for me, when I have a bit of cabs or monitoring, normal monitoring wedges, you get this yeah, physically stuff that the strings are vibrating when some sound comes, so you get these sounding back, and yeah, I like that.
Yeah, and that's something I also mentioned then in these discussions, that well, if you need to be sure and you want to make sure that the first rows get what you're doing, get a wedge. I mean, put it like straight, if you want to, and let it point at yourself and also into the audience. because then you have the control, and also you have the control over the tone that you're actually playing, because in the best case, what's going to show up from that wedge is much closer to what you are doing and what you are sending to the front of house as well, and not something random stuff that's coming from a uncontrolled guitar speaker. Yeah, that's really true, and it really requires that you then, as guitar players, take this into consideration, and also take the responsibility to let the staff in clubs and the people and your band colleagues know about these things, and why maybe there's the demand always for a dedicated wedge for the guitar player if it's smaller clubs and stuff like that. So
or maybe something like a side fill. We've in the earlier days we had big side fills with the drums on stage and everything. It was really fine. I loved that, but it was very loud on stage. And yeah, turn the side fills around into the blending into the first rows of the crowd. So that could be something else too. So maybe you hear a little bit of these side fills and the people hear a little bit of these side fills. It depends. It's really yeah, something like a problem for smaller venues.
Yeah, and not only for smaller venues, because if it's bigger venues like 1,000 people or up, depending on how the PA is hanging, that might still also be the case when the first 2-3 rows in the middle especially don't get enough from the hangs.
Yeah.
And that also happens in bigger places, 1,000 people or so, when not enough is coming from the stage, because also seasoned sound engineers are so used to that. I realized that as well. So they have their guitar level they are usually dealing with. They learned that it worked over the years, and how much they put into the PA. And they put that much into the PA. And for our friends with the digital equipment, with the direct equipment, that's usually not enough, because when there's nothing coming from stage, your usual level in the PA might just not be enough to create the required sensation for the audience in terms of
normally
guitar tone.
The level of the PA is just to balance out a little bit of the guitar because it's so loud on stage. Definitely in clubs. I heard that from that sound engineer from the Colossal here. So it's really weird sometimes.
Yeah, and it's also really weird how many people you still meet who are not aware of these things. And sometimes also, how did I call that? No, I don't mention that. You're wondering, someone for years, for decades, and they've been at the forefront of the digital stuff and doing tones and selling rigs and whatever. And sometimes they turn up with a tube amp again and start to argue about, then there's the latency thing,
Okay.
Now they talk about latency. They can't stand the latency of the digital stuff. And now they are back with the speakers and microphones. And that's the thing, because of latency, and you have full control about what you're doing. Let's talk about that. I mean, let's define full control of what you're doing, because when you add this additional level of abstraction, because what you're doing there has nothing to do with the stuff that's coming out of the PA or getting into the microphones. And it's a different situation. So sometimes I wonder why de-learning some basics is happening so often. But that's a general thing in society, I'm afraid, sometimes.
It's always a thing about sitting in your holy castle and just listening to yourself and not listening to the whole thing. And this is where the definition of guitar players divide. So some players, you hear them how they play, and they listen to the context, and some players just listen to themselves, and the rest is okay, yep, play. You can play, but I'm playing. I'm playing lead all the time. So this is totally different. And some people who had success while doing that in many ways, some on the local area, some really big players, they try to go on like that because we made that 20 years long, so it should be right. And but sometimes it wasn't right. It was loud, but not right, and not really sounding good. It's really drastic when you go to concerts. For me, sometimes it's a horror. Sitting in the studio, checking out the bits and bytes of guitar tones, then going to concert hall, clubs or something, and listening to bands and thinking, oh, that doesn't sound good. It's too noisy, it's too... What do they do?
Yes.
And sometimes it's really hard because when you have these big concert halls we have in Frankfurt, Festhalle is horror. We played once there, and we got there 2 days earlier just to check out the location. And I was there with a guitar, had my acoustic guitar, and it was echoing all the time. The acoustic guitar, this room is built for classical concerts, so it's amplifying, it's louder, making everything louder, and it's totally hard to get a good sound there. So it's heavy for these big rooms, big concert halls, to get a good rock sound there. And it's good to have these line signals and not that much, because we decided when we played this concert to play line level and play in-ear, because we didn't want to disturb the stage and disturb the sound, because it's too much. I once saw, what was it? It was Pink one day. Mm-hmm. She had a really good sound.
Justin Derrico, he's amazing.
Yeah, that was really amazing. And I saw years ago Earth, Wind and Fire, and they play really hard music, and they sounded also very, very good. So that was totally balanced out with all the events and the 16th notes flying around and Wordin White playing bass. Fantastic. But I forgot the bands that I saw that had bad sounds.
Yeah, that's the thing. And that's also a, yeah, I don't know. Because nowadays, as a guitar player, you know, is it something you should spend some time with or not? Because in the old days, you know, any musician or any person with a profession and working with tools focused on just what they are doing. But whenever you are interacting with the outside world, what you are supposed to do as a musician, I think you would have to think of the system you're a part of and where you are located in the system, where things are coming from and where things are going to, and in which way. So the transmission quality and the process should also be of your concern as a guitar player, because you are concerned about the tone that goes into your DAW when you're recording at home. And so it should be also when you're playing live, and being honest to yourself, or musicians, bands should be honest to themselves and listen what's happening and listen what's getting to the audience. Because if that's not great, what's getting to the audience, sometimes the music can be so good when it's not, when only a fracture is reaching the audience, you're doing yourself not any good about this. And another thing I realized this year at NAMM, meeting people, we had quite some visits from guitar techs. And that's a new wave of guitar techs approaching us on behalf of the production companies, who now put the guitar techs to the forefront and giving them the responsibility to make sure that the guitarists get a better tone and also get a more travel-friendly tone. Yeah. Which means guitar techs who are dealing with guitarists who run 2, 3, 4 amps on stage and huge setups, whatever, came to us and saying, well, right now we're trying to get him, her, off their complicated boxes system and to something more streamlined, and they are really working hard to get this going. That's what I found pretty interesting. So guitar players seem to not care sometimes too much. It needs all the other people around who want to make sure this entire thing then sounds great to push a little bit the changes there. So that seems to be, at least in some areas of the business, the situation.
You need to say it's a different thing. That's definitely when you switch from these guys behind me with a 4x12 cap and the big sound to a profiler. When you have in-ear monitoring for your big stages and everything, then it's quite a process that is a bit easier. But when you have the caps on stage, then you need to transfer this sound with maybe caps on stage with a digital device, and giving us a soft changeover for those. Because I know by myself, it's different. It's a different play feel, and you need to get warm with it. So take the specific profiles, check out which version you like to hear yourself on stage, full range cap or guitar cap. I would say if you're changing from tube amps, take a guitar cap. That's my personally favorized sound for electric guitar all the time now. I tried the full range caps, and really it's absolutely okay and I take the blue amps cap when I'm playing acoustic guitar and electric guitar, and then it's the best thing to have. So yeah, cool. But for the fun fact, it's for me it's a guitar cap, 2x12 greenback speaker, and yeah, I had that with the profiler head with the powered head feet. So that's and one gig last year I played with a Palmer Class A. I think it was the Macht called Macht. Class A. What's sounding great too with the stage, Kemper stage then. Yeah, so this is something that you need to think about. So maybe not to change directly from Marshall half stack to in-ear monitoring with the profiler. This is a switch. This is really heavy. And yeah, you need to have something in between to get a smart changeover.
Yeah, that's true. And also, you know, there are some idiosyncrasies with cabinet solutions for guitar players. I realized that when, well, I was playing at a theater here in Hamburg, and I got, you know, this GBL wedge for the electric guitar, and everybody else was doing acoustic stuff. And when I was just playing the guitar, I really could hear the difference between when I moved around, because usually you're having a two-way system, you know, a tweeter and a woofer. And if it's just one instrument coming over this two-way system, when you move, you have more tweeter or you have more woofer, stuff like that. And I realized, okay, whenever there's a full range signal, because I was playing with backing tracks, when the backing tracks were on and I was playing the guitar, it was all fine, because the dispersion is when they are all over the place. But if it's only the guitar, it was a little bit, you need to get used to that. The solution for that I found with coax speakers, where the tweeter is in the center of the woofer, because then you have equal dispersion, whatever you send to the system. And that's also a thing where the Kemper cabinet then works pretty well with that pure paper cone system with the twin cone stuff, because you don't get the harsh tweeter stuff, and when you move around, you get the different frequency situations there. And yeah, these are to be taken into consideration as well, because there guitar FR without the second FR monitor systems there who have coax speakers in them, and then there are some who have separate tweeters, and that's something you need to watch out for and check it out if it's for you, because it's different.
Yes.
And
you can't tell this is better than the other. So it's definitely a personal thing. What I prefer is to have always a separate speaker for my guitar. So this is something, from the old days. I place the Blue Amps cap on the left beside me, not into the crowd, just from stage side to my left ear. And I have a monitor in front of me where I hear all the other stuff from the band, and separated my guitar. So I really can hear the guitar better than when it's in the monitor, because sometimes you get different monitors, and some are good, sometimes the expensive monitors too are not really that good, that they can have all this drums, bass and keyboards inside them. Then it's getting a little bit muddy, and I don't really want to have the guitar in that muddiness. I can live with muddy drums or muddy keyboards, but not with muddy guitar and muddy drums and keyboards. So I always have this separate small cap with me, and that's absolutely great then.
Yeah, cool.
It's not loud. It's not loud on stage.
Yeah, and that's not the point. It's the point that you feel good as a player, and that you have your feedback and for what you're doing, and also control over what you're doing, and that is reaching the audience, that the quality, because that's really a drag. I think in-ears it was not a too nice situation for musicians on especially bigger stages, because the bigger the stages, the weirder all this mess from the monitors on stage was becoming. And well, I did some jobs as a monitor sound engineer, and if you listen to what actually the drummers are getting, or the singers, and how it sounds on stage, there's no bass and a lot of flat mid focused stuff that has nothing to do with what basically the band sound would be, especially when you're not the A-level touring act with a A-level personnel and the A-level monitor setup. Yeah. So just listen. That's just the thing we can say to all the musicians out there generally, and guitar players especially listen. And if possible, you're wireless most of the time, or a lot of people are wireless. Get into the audience room and go closer to the stage and find out if the guitar is happening or when it starts to happen, when you go from the stage towards the mixing desk. And if it's happening too late, then you should do something about your situation on stage.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, and speaking of guitar techs and on stage, this is yeah, how is it called? North America, the End of the Road tour.
Okay. Oh.
From the End of the Road tour, 2 picks. Right. God gave avatars to us.
Yeah.
God gave avatars to us, and yeah. So the gentleman who was running the gear for the guitar players and Tommy Thayer was so kind. Yeah, nice souvenir.
I think they have 200 picks for each concert, or maybe for the sound check.
Yeah, and yeah.
Great band.
Well, some say so. Yes.
Yeah, I started playing guitar because of Ace Frehley, so I can show you some pictures sometimes. Me, 14 years old with the mask.
Oh, right. Okay.
Maybe sometimes.
This again calls for some kind of
another episode.
No, this calls for a live event again. We mentioned that before.
Yeah.
Okay, I think we could wrap it up here. Only if you have some more questions, because I think basically we got the essentials from what was the take on NAMM in terms of and that's the great thing of NAMM and other trade shows and events, when you meet the people and have the chance to learn where the people are at and what they know, what they don't know, and what their strong beliefs are and what their wishes are. And it's a different situation from here, the interwebs. Yeah. Sometimes, because as I said, I mean, I think there was no one at NAMM who is not online, but you find a lot of people, as I said, where you think they've been sleeping under a stone for the last 10 years. And that's not just because of Kemper stuff generally. But yeah, we'll see where this goes. And well, Frankfurt, RIP, Music Messe is gone. We will see how all the other events will go. And,
Mannheim Guitar Summit is really is quiet, definitely quiet, and great show.
It's quiet, right? And it would be great to do some workshops there again, which has to be discussed with the people who are running the shows. So we'll address this soon as well. Yeah, okay. So this time it was let me throw an opinion at you, or let me throw a myth at you. And so there was just one guy with a guitar, but we don't see it. not playing. Ah, there it is. And oh, speaking of Fender, that was also the thing. You know, innovations in terms of guitars. That's we might add now still, if you don't mind, if we get into this. So, and this is not a test question here. Do you have a wish what you would like to see in guitar concepts when you think of your daily work in the studio and also your work on stage? Are you happy with it, or do you think some things could be a little bit more comfortable or not? It's not a test question. It's just pure opinion.
Pure opinion is, so if you would ask me what do you don't like while playing guitar, I would say tuning.
Okay. Yeah.
So for studio, always tuning. Guitars which are staying in tune, very good. And this is one too. I really like very much. Another thing, no, I don't really, I didn't think about anything. Should we do something better on the guitar? Do you have something? Or does Fender have something?
Fender is only sending people every week to Home Depot to buy another pot of color and make a big fuss out of this. Sorry, my cynicism here, because except for new colors, I don't see really innovative stuff coming out of Fender.
Yeah, but hey, the electric guitar is...
That's one thing.
It's I won't say it's perfect, but if we had some stuff, we had the tuners, we had the
Tronical.
Tronical tuners, so I won't take them at all.
Yeah, I mean,
a very nice innovation, but
yeah, the stuff needs to work, of course. It needs to work, of course. That's very important. Well, I have one thing, and that was quite amazing. There was only traditional approaches. One thing for me is tremolo or vibrato, and tuning. You know, Fender vibrato, Bixby, Jazzmaster version, Floyd Rose.
Yeah.
What else is there? Carla,
Duesenberg,
Stets Dingsbums, Duesenberg stuff, and you know, these things with you know, staying in tune or like going back to tune. That would be awesome. That's still, I think, some territory which might be where might be some room for improvement. And switching, I think, depending on what you're doing, because very often, especially with digital equipment, where the how would you say, the degrees of freedom are much bigger in terms of when you run the volume really low on the guitar and you get a clean tone, and if you bring it up and you have a distorted tone. And when you are using that, you want to switch pickup and then switch that pickup not from only just the pickup, but switch it also to single coil and adjust the volume knob for the right level of, you know, distortion, edge of breakup, stuff like this. You have to do 3-4 things. And this usually doesn't work when you switch the sound and then you, oh, now I'm here. So I have no solution for this, I must admit.
We could have some switching points, so you can store a setup, volume, tone, and pickup. But I don't really no, so in that case, I'm the old school guy. So I like to, I won't take a guitar with storable pickup and volume combinations. What I would like to add to my wish list is more noiseless pickups. This is something I switched with that guitar to the old EMGs from the 80s because they are noiseless. And in some cases on stage, you have one too. Oh no. In some cases on stage, it's totally bad to have, so you have the best old school sounding wired pickups in the full moon section, wired and everything, but they are noisy as hell on some stages. So I prefer for that one I went back to the old EMGs because everybody says, oh no, don't take EMGs, but it works.
Yeah, that's also a thing that's really important. Well, and as we are in this wireless,
yeah,
also, it's more than okay, I would say. But if we're really critical, especially again when you're working with the volume pot and you're getting into a really low signal, you very soon get into the or what you call it, in the area where you know, the companders, the compressors, and the noise and the stuff and the digital conversion, they start to kick in and fight with each other. So you use a lot compared to cables when you're, you know, closing the guitar to just one or two, and if you're using a wireless pair. Some are better, some are not so good, and but that's still a thing. And also, you know, the frequencies. Do you use wireless on stage?
Sometimes, but I'm really not a fan because in those projects where I'm playing acoustic stuff, I don't need wireless because we're sitting, so I don't run around. So that would be too scary then. But in another situation, I used wireless, but I was not really happy. And one time when we played some festival shows where I was using wireless years ago, I had the problem that there were too much wireless and too much stages near to each other. So yeah, you had, I didn't have the guitar player from the other band in my amp, but it was some disturbing noise, and it was not really fine. And I'm also not the dancing guy and jumping around, so normally I'm standing before in front of my pedal board, so I really don't need that wireless stuff.
Okay, yeah. Yeah, I tried it once, and then during rehearsal I had this iPad on the stand, so here, and some playbacks were coming from the iPad wirelessly. I don't know if via Wi-Fi or via Bluetooth. It doesn't matter. But when one point I came closer while we were playing with the guitar, I heard, what's that? And I found out then that the Bluetooth or the wireless playback stuff was coming through the wireless transmitter through the profiler, like distorted and things like that. And that's something you don't want to have. And I realized, okay, how fragile this whole, at least this 2.4 gigahertz digital transmission system is. And I thought, well, before I realize in any club somewhere that this is an issue, I go back to cable. But it would be nice.
I love the freedom that you have, even when you stand in front of your pedal board.
Yeah.
But, but sound-wise, it and for the practical stuff, it didn't really turn me on then.
Yeah, that's right. That's the point. And there are things, where the industry is really, we can shout out to the people out there, you know, switching, wireless, tuning, and vibrato and tuning are definitely some things where we'd love to see some practical workflow enhancing innovations, which keep the integrity of the guitar tone, of course.
Definitely.
And okay, new colors, nice, but hey, go to work and show us something real, something good. Yeah, okay. With saying that, we can wrap it up, I think, for this one. And this was quite conversational, but I think in between, that's also a thing where it might trigger your opinions or your realization that these are valid points or not. And we would like to hear that. So let us know what you think. Thank you, Thomas. I now at least know what you think in regarding some of the points and regarding switching and tuning and wireless. And we will be back and we will be continuing to throw some rigs at each other next time. Okay, thanks and bye.
Bye.